Hey everyone, hope you're doing really well. I'm here with a really quick tutorial on how you can improve your string writing if you're writing an ostinato. So here I've got a really simple ostinato, just an 8-bar phrase. So not my most inspired work, but there's a lot of things that we can do in the orchestration which will make this kind of average piece of music become less repetitive and give it a lot more colour. So the first thing we're going to do is highlight specific notes with Pizzicato. So if I open up here, we've got Pizzicato set up on violin 2. I'm just quite simply just going to copy down the original violin line. Now obviously we don't want every note to be Pizzicato. That sounds boring, but we could add colour to the first beat and maybe the last quaver of the bar, something like this. Something like that would just add a little bit of emphasis to these important moments of the bar, and maybe in the final bar we do it that it plays on the first beat, the third beat, and then the final quaver as well. So this is just adding another rhythmic layer to the piece. It just adds a little bit of more interest to it. And this is an important note, so we're going to highlight this a little bit more. That's useful, I think. And then towards the end, we're going to have it on every beat. And that's too quick for them to play. Got to be very careful with strings in that their fingers can get very tired very quickly. Anyway, that's pizzicato. That's one thing that you can do to add emphasis to certain notes. The second thing you can do is actually add emphasis to certain parts of the phrase. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm just going to copy this into the viola part. This is in a carbon copy. I'm going to mute the violin 2 for just now. So what the viola can do is actually just pick out a couple of important notes. So it doesn't have to start at the beginning, but maybe this change from the B flat to the B natural is important, and maybe we just need it to pick out that. Something like that just makes that change more important, and maybe again we can just have it play at the end of the bar or give an emphasis to the first beat of the bar. So it's just adding colour again. So even that rhythmic layer there, I really like that. I'm going to keep that and just get rid of the rest of the stuff around it. I'm going to keep kind of the same idea again, but I'll be a little bit more complex with it. So again, that is just picking out certain notes, and it's adding a little bit of syncopation, a little bit more interest to this kind of boring line. And when we add the pizzicato to it, it just makes it all that better. Then I'll finish off this last bar again. I'll probably do it so that it just adds a bit of emphasis to this ascending change. Again, there's no kind of right or wrong answer. I did this almost randomly, and if you kind of muck around with it, you can get good results. So that's really adding a good rhythmic layer to this whole thing. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create some long notes with crescendos and diminuendos, and this is going to act to sort of glue the phrase together. I'll show you what I mean. If I take violin 1 and copy it into the cellos, we're going to pick some notes which we're going to make long. So we're going to take this B flat, I'm going to crescendo into this here, and we want to use the modulation and expression to create crescendos. So that's all we want to do, and we just want to make that note a louder velocity. So in context, So it adds a bit of impact to the start of that next bar. I'll do another example. Let's take it from, let's do a decrescendo. So we'll go from this note, we'll start it loud, and we'll decrescendo into this note here. This is kind of adding a fake reverb or a fake resonance to the note. It's a really useful technique to be able to use. And it just adds that other layer of something else kind of going on. And then, of course, the cello can do a kind of hybrid thing where it does these crescendos and decrescendos, but also adds some color to the short notes as well. So it could do this, where it suddenly becomes loud again. So we're always playing with the color. And then I think towards the end we'll do one more example where we'll go from this B flat right up to the top note. Get rid of a couple of notes before it. And we'll start quiet and we'll get loud. Okay, so this will just kind of glue everything together a little bit, hopefully. So there you go. That's one way of kind of adding another layer of sound and color to this ostinato. The next thing I'm going to show you is something called octave displacement. What I'm going to do is create another violin one part just to demonstrate this on. So octave displacement is where we take a line but move things around by the octave. The clue's kind of in the name. So we can just go through and move things around by the octave. And then it gives the line a completely new character and shape. Now, of course, some of this might be unplayable. But now, if we play this, that's a really great development of this original line. So maybe later on this will come. So I didn't have to write any new material there. All I did was move stuff around by the octave. And then what you would probably do is give it a little bit more space and shape. So you would get rid of notes here and there just to give it that sense of being something slightly different to the original. Maybe we would get rid of that. So that is called octave displacement, and that is a really useful tool to be able to use when you're writing this kind of repetitive material. I mean, we've come from that to this. Now, of course, I've used some pretty extreme examples, but you can see how simple it is to be able to do. So the last thing which we need to be super careful of when we're doing this sort of thing is automation. Automation is what makes this kind of repetitive music come alive. So if we go in, we want to make sure that we are writing really clear modulation and expression. And you can kind of use broad strokes. So I'm going to kind of start it down there, and it's going to get louder towards the end. Then we're going to do the same with the expression as well. So on my key I'm using here is the command, and then just dragging through. So it sounds like this. Maybe that's a bit quiet. But you can hear how that is getting louder as well. So what you'd also do is make sure you have your velocities controlled. So for example, you might want to make some of these first notes a bit stronger. Just to make it a little bit more interesting. So those are my 5 tips for making your string writing so much better. Please let me know in the comments if you've got any questions or queries or anything that you want to suggest to me about making string writing better. Be delighted to hear from you. Thanks so much, and see you next time.